Hi friends, in today's video we will learn that if a graph contains no odd cycle, then it is a bipartite graph. In previous video we learned that if a graph is bipartite, then it contains no odd cycle. So this is a converse of the same proof. Now we will assume that the graph G which we are taking contains no odd cycle, and then we will step by step prove that the graph is a bipartite graph. So just to recall the previous proof which we did, like we were assuming that G is a bipartite graph and we proved that it contains no odd cycle. Over there we used the method of contradiction. We assumed that in this bipartite graph, let's assume there is an odd cycle, and then we arrived to a contradiction. Then we said that our assumption was wrong, that is the graph will contain no odd cycle. Now let's see in this particular proof how we can prove that if the given graph contains no odd cycle, then it is bipartite. So this entire proof is divided into two sections. So first of all, the graph which we are considering, there are two possibilities, right? So the graph can be connected or it can be disconnected, right? So first we will look into whether if the graph is connected, then how it works, and then we will take the second possibility, if the graph is not connected, then how it will be. So let's move into the proof directly. Now before moving into this proof, as you all know, the second part of the proof is, so basically what we need to prove in this is, like we will assume that G contains no odd cycle and we will prove that G is a bipartite graph, right? So in order to prove a bipartite graph, we should be aware of the definition of bipartite. So just to revise or just to recall, a bipartite graph is basically a graph in which there are two set of vertices, or else we can say a graph G in which the vertex set can be divided into two sets such that the sets are disjoint, and their union should give me the entire vertex set of G, and the two sets which we are creating, no two vertices in the same set should be connected to each other by an edge. So that's the three things which we need to take care. So just to give a high level of the proof which we will be doing right now. So what we will be doing is, we will assume that let G be a graph that contains no odd cycle. So the first condition is that G is connected, and then step by step we will prove that this G is a bipartite graph. So what we will be doing is, we will be defining two different set of vertices which satisfies these three conditions. That is, I will try to bifurcate this vertex of this given graph G into two sets such that the sets are disjoint. Union of those two set gives me the entire vertex set of G, and no two vertices in a particular set. So we have two sets, right? So no two vertices of the same set are connected to each other by an edge. So that's what we will be proving. And once that is done, so we have proved like the graph is a bipartite graph. Then we will move on to the second section. We will say that if graph is not connected, then we will have a different approach over there. So first let's start with the proof and see how to prove this entire thing. So let's start with the proof. So I have written the statement down. So the statement is, if G contains no odd cycle, then it is bipartite. So the proof, as I said, we will start something like this. We will say that let G be a connected graph. So in the other section, in the later part, we will assume, we will take that the graph G is not connected. That's a disconnected graph, and we will have a different section of proof over there. So first we will prove if G is a connected graph, then we will try to prove this entire statement. So if let G be a connected graph and G contain no odd cycle. So this is the hypothesis with which we are starting the proof. So we will assume that G contains no odd cycle, and now we have to prove that it is bipartite. To prove that G is bipartite, so let's try to make two partitions of the vertex set of G. So how I will make the partition is very simple. So I can say let X and Y be set of vertices of G such that now be careful while defining these two sets of vertices of G. So I will define X as so before defining X, I will have to fix a point in G. So such that for V belonging to G, so V belonging to vertex set of G, so V is a fixed vertex which we are taking. So I am defining x such that distance between any vertex, let's say x, so I can say that set x is basically set of all the vertices of vertex set G. So I am picking up all the vertices of vertex set G such that vertices should satisfy a particular condition. That condition is distance between the vertex which I am picking up and the distance between the fixed vertex V is odd, or we can take even as well, anything is fine, is odd. And then for set Y we will define the distance should be even. So I can say it's set of all vertices of vertex set G such that distance between the vertex which I am picking up from this set and the fixed vertex V is even. Fine. So this is how we are defining the set x and y. Just to picturize it, we can picturize it in some in this way. So if we have let's assume a graph where V is a vertex, and let's supposedly say here I am getting a vertex V1 such that when I am counting the path, like when I am seeing the distance between, so let me take some vertices over here, some random vertices over here. So if I like count the path, it will be 1, 2, 3. So it's a odd path, or we can say odd distance. So 1, 2, 3 is a odd distance. So I will say that this V1 should belong to my set X. Similarly, if I have some if supposedly say this same vertex V is having another vertex like say V2 such that there is say just one vertex in between, one random vertex in between, so the path will be something like this. So now I can say the path is of length 1, 2, so I can say the path is of length 2. So basically this vertex will belong to this particular set Y. So that's how we will separate all the vertices. So if the vertex which we are picking up is at a distance of is at an odd distance from the vertex V, so we will say that yeah, that should belong to set X. Whereas if the vertex which we are picking up is in an even distance from the set V, then we will say that from the vertex V, then we will say that yeah, since it is even distance, that vertex should belong to set Y. Now there comes a question like, if this is my vertex, fixed vertex V, and let's supposedly say we have a vertex over here V1 and we have a vertex over here V2, such that like supposedly the distance between let me take just one vertex. So if I have some path like this over here, and if I have some path like this over here, so if you see, now I have two path to approach the same vertex with from this fixed vertex V, right? So one path is a odd path, 1, 2, 3 a odd path, and the next path is a even path. So now over here we will take the least possible path. So the path which we are considering is this particular path. So since it is an even path, so V1 will go in set Y. So that's how the length we define. So if there are multiple path which will lead to this particular vertex, so we will be taking up the least path, and if it is an even path, then we will put it in put that vertex in Y, and if it is an odd path, then we will put it in vertex put it in set X, right? So let's proceed further. So taking all these things into consideration, we can easily say that there cannot be any vertex, there cannot be any single vertex which is at a distance of odd as well as even with the vertex fixed vertex V, right? If we have such a vertex, like I took this example, if we have a odd as well as a even distance, we will be considering the least distance. So there it turns out to be a even distance. So like supposedly we can have one more example. It can be something like this. So if say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we have some other 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we can take 4 as well. 1, 2, 3, and say 4. So I will just name it so that it's pretty more clear. So something like this. So if you see, this is my vertex, fixed vertex V, and this is my this is my vertex V1. I want to like justify where should I keep this V1, in X or in Y. So now there comes a question like, what's the path? It's a odd path from this angle, and it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 even path from this angle. So now we will consider the least possible path. So least possible path is a odd path, so we will put this in set X, right? So that means that there is no possibility that a vertex can have both even and odd path of the same length at the same time. So by this, what I mean to say is these two sets cannot have same vertices. That means, like, if I take a vertex over here, if I take a vertex over here, if both are same, that means that vertex is having same distance from the fixed vertex V, right? So since one is odd and one is even, they cannot be same. So obviously, so we can say by definition of X and Y, the way which we have defined X and Y, we can simply say that X intersection Y is always empty. That is, X and Y are disjoint. That's the way how we defined X and Y, because the vertices which belongs to X are at odd distance from V, and the vertices which belong to Y are at even distance from V. So these distance can never be same, since one is odd and one is even. And similarly, we can say that if I take any vertex from this particular graph, it should be either at a distance of odd distance from this particular vertex V, or it should be like at an even distance from this particular vertex V, right? So we can say that we are considering all the vertices in this given graph. So I can simply say also union of these two sets, union of these two vertices ka set will give me entire vertex set of G. So these two conditions of bipartite graphs are done. Now what I need to prove is, like, if I pick up any two vertices from this set, or if I pick up any two vertices from this set, there will be no edge between the two vertices which I am picking up. That's all we need to prove. Then we are done with our proof. We can simply say that the partition which we have made is satisfying all the conditions of bipartite graph. Hence my graph is a bipartite graph. Fine. So we can consider any one set for time being. We can say let me take two vertices from this set X itself. So let X1 and X2 belongs to set X. So X1 and X2 are two vertices which I am taking up from set X. Now what I need to prove that is there is no edge between these two vertices. If I prove that, then I am done with my proof. Fine. So let me picturize it for time being. So let me assume this is my X1, and let me suppose that this is my X2. Now obviously I have a fixed vertex V, right? So the distance between this vertex and this X, and this vertex and this X, is obviously even, right? No, it's odd, my bad, it's odd, because the vertex set X we have defined in such a way that it contains all the vertices of this set G, such that the distance between that vertex which we are picking up and the fixed vertex V is odd. So taking that definition into consideration, we can say that the X1 and X2 which I have picked up, it will obviously have a odd distance from this vertex V. It will have a odd distance from this vertex V, right? So now there is a possibility that this path can coincide with each other. So the path which we are picking up, it need not be so simple like they are different. So there can be incident that they might overlap with each other. So we will take the toughest possible path. So let me take this as V1, and let me name it as X1, and let me name it as X2. So if this is a path which is going to X1, like V to X1, this is the path, and let me take this as the path which is going from V to X2. Obviously these paths should have odd length. Now let me break this, let me name this as, say, P or something like that, P. Fine. Now let's name this partition as, like, say, so this is a path which we have, right? This is a path which is connecting V to X1. So let me so that there is no confusion, so that we are not arriving to any confusion, let me name it, label it something like this. Let P be a path. Let me name this path as P1. So how is my P1 going? The P1 is like from V to P and P to X1, right? So let me label it over here like P11 and P12. So I can say P1 is basically P11, P12. a combination of these two things, where I can just also say that P11 is nothing else but V2P. It is like V2 VP, the edge VP, and the edge PX1. Fine. So this is just for understanding. So we can draw this graph and represent it so that it's much more clear to the examiner who is reviewing our entire proof. Now we can say let P2 be the path. So let me take this path as P2. So let me shade it by pencil. So this is my next path, that is P2. So let me label this P2 as something like this, like say P21 and P22. Fine. So P21 and P22, let this be the path that is connecting my V to X2. Now I need to label this point P, right? So I will say let P be the final point, we can say final point or the last point. Let P be the last vertex at which P1 intersects P2. So there can be multiple overlapping in between them. So I am assuming this as the final point where they intersected with each other, just for a simplicity. There can be multiple intersections. So let us take that this is the last intersection where they are intersecting each other. Now let's proceed further. So keeping in mind again and again, we just need to prove that there is no edge lying between these two vertices. That is the only thing which we need to prove. So that can be simply proved in another 2 steps. Let's proceed further. So now the path P21 and the path P11, right? So the path P21 and the path P11 can be either odd or even, because we are not aware of that. But yeah, we are for sure, we know that this entire path is an odd path and this entire path is an odd path. So we are aware of that, but we don't know whether this part of this path is odd or this part is odd or not. We don't know. So now what we will be doing is basically, so let's try to prove this, right? So before proceeding further, we have a claim, or we can easily say that length of this path and length of this path, either it be odd or even, but they are same in length. Now there arrives a question like how we can state that these two parts are same in length, that is P21 and P11 are same in length, right? So supposedly if I say that P21 is smaller than P11, fine. So if I say that this path is smaller than this part, so if you picturize it, or if you try to understand it properly, so if I say that this path is lesser in length than this path, then what I can say, so instead of arriving to this particular point in this entire long way, I can simply arrive it in this way, right? So basically I can approach this x1 from this V using this path. But what we are doing, we are going from this entire way, right? So now there comes a contradiction. So if we are assuming that this is lesser than this, then there is another path which is existing, which is not possible. So since we are defining our set x and y in such a way that we are taking the least possible path, so there is no possibility that this can be lesser than this or this can be lesser than this, then obviously it will go against the definition of the set which we have defined already, because we can say that this is the longest path which we are taking, by not the shortest path. So we will just write it in mathematical form. We can say that if P21, that is this one, if P21 is less than P11, if I say that this P21 is less than P11, then there is a least path. What is the least path? P11. So if this is less than this, so if I say that this path, length of this path is less than length of this path, so I can say that I can approach to x1 using this particular path, right? So I can say then there is a least path P21, P12, least path this one to approach x1 from V. So this is the least path which is existing, which is not true, Now there arrives a question, why this is not true? Because why? Because we have a least path already there with us. P11 and P12 is the least path, because P11 and P12 is the least path from V to x1. So I am saying that this is the least path which is there, so we can't have this least path. So similarly, we can take the other way around. I can also say that if the we can have the same approach over here as well, right? Similarly, we can, instead of writing this entire thing, we can similarly say that what we can say, like P11 cannot be less than P21. Like similarly, while I was saying that this is less than this, I arrived to a contradiction that then to approach this particular path, this particular vertex, I don't need to go to this entire path. I can use this shortest path. So that is not possible. Similarly, if I say that this path is less than this path, I can have the same argument for arriving to x2, right? I can say, instead of arriving to x2 using this long path, I can arrive to x2 using this short path. So that's not possible, because this is only the shortest path which we are taking. So we can say similarly, P11 cannot be less than P21. Therefore what we have with us is both the path which we have, that is this intermediate path, are same in length. That is P21 is equal to P11. They are equal in length. So let me name it as something like say K or something like that. Fine. So these length can be either even or odd as well. We don't know what's that. But yeah, for sure the entire path, right? This entire path which we were assuming over here, that is, so this entire path which we had over here, so we know that it is an odd path. It should be an odd path, right? Because obviously this two vertices are lying in set X, and as per the definition of set X, this should be an odd path. So we can say that therefore P, that is the path which we took over here, is nothing else but P1, right? The path which we took is P1. So P1 minus K. So P1 minus K is basically this entire path minus this, or else instead of K we can say P11. So later we will name it as K. P11 is equals to P1 minus K. Now what is P1? So P1 is basically a odd length, because we know this is the entire length is odd. From odd, if I subtract odd or if I subtract even, what we will be left with is a even length, right? Because we know that from an odd number, so from an odd number, if I subtract this, so now that might also depend. So because since we don't know this K, this length which is left with us, that can be either odd or even. So let me leave it over here. Similarly, let me write for the other path P2. So since I have this next path P2, so from P2 if I subtract, so from P2 what I am doing, I am subtracting this above one, that is P21. So from P2 if I subtract this P21, so P21 again I have named it as like P21 is also named as K. So from P2 I am also subtracting this K. So I know that this is an odd number and this is an odd number, since both the path which we are taking, P1 and P2, both the path are odd. From the odd numbers we are subtracting some same number, right? So this K is a constant fixed number. So the value which will be remaining with us will be either odd for both of them or even for both of them. That's obviously true. So I can say that since P1 minus K, so P1 minus K we can simply name it as, what is P1 minus K? So P1 is this part and I am subtracting this K part, so I am left with this P22. I can say P22. And similarly from P2 when I remove this K, P2 is this path, and from this part I am removing this P11 basically. So what I am left with is P12. So this is P12. So obviously this left part can be either odd or even, we don't know, but both will be same. Both, since we are subtracting a same constant from both of them, either these two should be odd or these two should be even. So I can say that since P22, therefore we can say therefore P22 and P12 is either odd or even, right? So now if you all might be knowing it's simple maths, we can say that if these two numbers are odd, so if these let me draw it over here so that it's much more clear. So the path which we are discussing right now is this remaining part, that is this one and this one. This is P12 and this is P22, right? So we are having this x1 and x2 over here, x1 and x2 over here. Now this path and this path, either both are odd or both are even. Now so we know that if this is odd and if this is odd length plus odd length will be an even length, right? Similarly, if this is even and if this is even, addition of both even numbers are also even. So I can simply say that P22 P12 is a even path. It's obviously true, because if either both are odd, then also it is even. If both are even, then also the addition is even, right? Now if I say that, now let's suppose say now let x1 x2 be an edge in G. So now what we need to prove over here is basically just to recall, we need to prove that there is no edge between them. So I am assuming that let if possible there be an edge between them. So if I draw an edge over here, what will happen? So I have a even path which is there, like when I add these two it will be an even path. So even plus one path, that is one edge, that will be an odd length, right? So I can say then P21 P12 or else I can say it is forming a cycle, so I can name it as like say C. Then C, what is this cycle of made up of? P12, that is this one, P22, that is this one, and x2 x1, that is this path and this edge, x2 x1. So just to generalize it, I can put a comma over here, is a odd cycle, is a odd cycle, right? It's obviously true, because this plus this, as I said, both of them will give me an even path, and after that if this is even, plus one edge will give me an odd edge, right? So basically what we are arriving over here is this particular cycle which will be left with us will be an odd cycle. But what was the assumption that we started with? So we were saying that so over here to start with this, we were saying that so we were saying that G contains no odd cycle. That was the assumption from which we started the entire proof with. So that assumption itself is going wrong. So I can say that which contradicts our hypothesis, or we can say the fact which we were assuming, which contradicts the fact that G contains no odd cycle. Therefore there is no edge. So we arrived to this contradiction because we were assuming a edge, right? We were assuming that this is the edge which is there in this graph. So we can say there is no edge x1 x2 in G. Therefore, so that was only thing which was left out with us to prove. We just had to prove that any two vertices of the same partition do not have an edge between them. So I can say therefore all the conditions of bipartite graph is satisfied. Therefore G is a bipartite graph. So the entire proof we proved it for the first section, like if G is connected, then that is the way to prove it. Now if G is disconnected, then it is a very simple 2 steps which we need to write. So we can say, now if G is disconnected, if G is disconnected, then above arguments, the arguments which we made right now, then above arguments can be applied and proved that we can apply the same argument, and we can prove that above arguments can be applied, and we can prove that each connected graph, so as you all know, right, if G is disconnected, it will have many connected components. So if we say that this is a disconnected graph, then it will have many connected components. So that's where disconnected means. So I can say that like if G is disconnected, then above arguments can be applied, and we can prove that each connected components of G is bipartite. Fine. Is bipartite. So if G is disconnected, then we can use the same argument for each of the disconnected components which are there. So each of the components which this graph persists will be connected components, right? So we can also name, like, if now if G is disconnected, we can say, like, we can before stating it, we can also say that over here, or else let me frame it in a better way. We can say that if G is disconnected, then G contains connected component, say, let me take some connected component, G1, G2, ... Gn. There might be many connected components. Using, then we can say, like, using above arguments, we can prove that each of GIs, that is each of these GIs, I from 1 to n, are bipartite, right? We can simply prove that, like, since each of them are connected components, we can use the same argument over there. So again the same thing will remain the same, that all the components will have no odd cycle. So applying the same arguments, we can simply prove that all these components are bipartite, and we can say, let x1 y1, similarly let x1 y1, x2 y2. So all these components, since we prove it as bipartite, we will have these two sets, right? So since x1 y1, x2 y2 ... xn yn be the vertex sets of bipartite component G1, G2 ... Gn respectively. Therefore we can say that G is a bipartite graph. So entire G will be a bipartite graph with vertex set X, such that X is basically a union of all this x1, x2, x3 and all. We can simply write it in mathematical form like union of xi's, where I is from 1 to n, and y is like y is union of all the yi's, from y is from 1 to n. such that we can, or else we can just wind it up over here, or else we can just add 2 or 3 steps saying that such that x intersection y is empty and x union y will give me the entire set of vertex set of G, and we can say that no vertex in X are adjacent. By this I basically mean that there is no edge between 2 vertices of the set X are adjacent, neither vertex in Y are adjacent. So this is a simple way using which we can justify that as well. So guys, this was a bit lengthy proof, but an interesting proof to understand. So in the link, I will provide a link in this description. So clicking on that particular link, you will get entire proof which I did right now. So you can just have a glance through this entire proof which I did, and then you can give a try by your own. Thank you.